Hello everyone. You may be wondering why I'm dressed up. Well, because of the video title. It is my top 5 favorite Pixar movies, and because I'm doing this list, not just because that the movie Inside Out is coming out this weekend, but because of the idea that it's 2015. 20 years ago, 2020, 1/5 of a century ago, this film came out. And as a bit of a tribute to both this film and this upcoming Inside Out, I'm really excited and honored to bring you my top 5 personal favorite Pixar movies. So here we go. But before I do that, 3 honorable mentions. The first one, Ratatouille. I love the animation in that one. I love the setting, and I love the focus on rats and how they introduce their view of food, which I thought was very, very engaging. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one. My second honorable mention for me is Up. Yes, that Up did not make my list, but you know what? I do really enjoy that one a lot. I think it's almost perfect, but I do think there has a few bit of problems. But for me, it did not make my number 5 spot. However, I would say Up is probably a good contender for my number 6. And my last honorable mention is Monsters Incorporated. I love the idea behind it. I love the voice acting. It has some really, really nice animation. It does have problems, of course, but what can you do? No, those are my 3 honorable mentions. Now let's go into my top 5 list. Number 5, The Incredibles. Why do I love The Incredibles? Why do I put The Incredibles at my number 5? Mainly because I think the main focus on the family aspect of superheroes and how they have these powers. It seems very, very smart and reminiscent of how other superhero movies work. And I thought it was really engaging, and I thought it was super fun, super unique, and quite, I wouldn't say original, but I would say it's definitely noteworthy to realize what they've done in that note. It's kind of like Unbroken. Not like Unbroken, but, damn it, what's that? M. Night Shyamalan movie. Unbeatable, whatever the fuck it's called. But I love this movie because it takes superhero characters that we haven't seen before. They aren't really based on actual comic book characters. They're based on their own creative ideas. All these characters they have in this movie are kind of original, even though you've seen their powers and their character tropes before. But in the end, I thought it was a very, very smart superhero film that they've done, in my opinion, which is a true winner in my book. That's why, for me, this is my number 5 spot. Number 4. Toy Story 3. Yes, I couldn't keep these ones together, but if I had to say on my least favorite of the 3 of Toy Story movies, I would say the third one is my least favorite. But I do really love this movie because same reason of Return of the King and Deathly Hallows Part 2 is that it wraps up, or even the Battle of 5 Armies, is that it really does wrap up this big franchise, and it really does make it come to a solid, beautiful close with a very beautiful, very emotional and sorrow type of ending where you're just like, you don't want it to end, but the way they do end it is so smart and so well done. I'm very, very happy that they did. The note that they played on Andy giving his toys away is a really, really smart move, and yeah, the ending in my opinion can go a bit too far about how it being super fun and all like that, and that Andy actually plays with the toys before he goes off to college with this little girl that he's giving the toys to. I'm just like, hey, that's really pushing it. But even aside from that, this is almost a perfect film, except for that ending, like I said. But I do really love this movie. I love the voice acting. I love the appropriate angle it goes into. And of course, it wraps up the trilogy incredibly well, which probably puts it at probably the best animated trilogy or animated franchise ever. Until How to Train Your Dragon may top it. Who knows? Alright, my number 3 is going to be Finding Nemo. Interesting fact, I saw Finding Nemo at a drive-in when I was growing up, and I love this movie because of with any other movie we've seen now of Pixar, that is always takes all land, but the angle and the perspective that they take underwater is so fascinating and so smart and so cool that I really love it. And I love the voice acting You know, you have Ellen DeGeneres, you have I need to basically find it. Finding Nemo, Albert Brooks, that's his name. You have Albert Brooks as a dad, and I really loved him as a father. You also have William Dafoe as Gale, who is also really awesome. I love that sequence whenever they have it in that aquatic tank in the doctor's office. I love that. It was very much kind of like The Great Escape feel, and then you have the father to the son reaching journey of it, and that was also really beautiful. I love how they played on that. It's very, very sweet, very, very emotional, and it does what any Disney film should do in the first place, and that to me is essentially knowing how to really make you feel and how to make it feel like a great family film as a whole. It's about a father trying to reconnect with his son. He's been pulled away, and you know, this whole big time they're coming together. And also, I love to focus on, well, not really focus, but how the Dory, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres, and the father, played by Albert Brooks, how they don't fall in love by the end. The wife in the very beginning of the film gets killed by another fish. And how, I love how they take that. They don't fall in love. And I'm just like, that's so smart. And by the way, I don't think Finding Dory would be that great, to be honest. But nevertheless, yeah, I really do love Finding Nemo, and it definitely is my third favorite Pixar film. Okay, number 2 and number 1 are pretty much kind of very, very close. But I'm going to say what is my second favorite and my number 1 favorite. But here we go. My second favorite is Toy Story 2. Man, do I love this movie. This is probably, in my opinion, a bit more technically all-round better Toy Story movie, because I think it's more structured. Like overall, my view is kind of like more solid film in comparison to the first one. But I'll talk about that one later. What I love about Toy Story 2 is that it really has the great focus on the first film of Toy Story was very much them realizing that they got toys and how they kind of deal with that they're not real living objects. But the second one takes the idea of you're not just simple useless toys. People can obsess over you. People can actually become addicted to you, and you see all this type of great, I wouldn't say propaganda, but you see Woody as pretty much a value item, and he's highly restored. It's a toy very much from the 1950s, 60s type of feeling. You know, like when, and I really love the angle of that. I really love the, like, you're the type of guy who takes the, who essentially takes Woody and goes Woody and the toy penguin. I love that angle and how the other toys are trying to save him instead of that becoming a bit of a rescue mission like the first movie. But I love the angle of it, and I love how it's just a bit more all around, more technically better than the first. But no, but I do prefer the first, which leads to me on my number 1 favorite Pixar film, and that is of course the very first, the one that started it all. The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs of Pixar films or CG films. Toy Story is my number 1 favorite Pixar film. I grew up with this film. The voice acting is great. The animation is wonderful. Yeah, there's the CG on the dog and on the human is a bit weird and awkward at times. But I cannot tell you how much this film makes me cry by the end. And I love the feeling I get from this. I remember like whenever I watch this, I just feel like I'm back in my grandparents' house watching this again as a kid. And I personally, aside from the CG looking on a dog and on the humans, I personally cannot say anything wrong with this movie. Yes, I said Toy Story 2 is a bit more of a technically all-around better film, but this one just knows how to hit those emotions more harder. And in the end, I personally don't think Pixar will ever get the same thing that they ever had before with Toy Story. My all-time favorite Pixar movie, and I have already seen Pixar Inside Out, but I will tell you that it's actually not even my top 5 or honorable mentions. But you will see my review of that when it comes out this weekend. As always, everyone, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in that video very, 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 very much soon. Until then, everyone, I'm out. Bye.